What if everything you knew about the devil was wrong? For centuries, the world has believed that Lucifer and Satan are the same being, cast down from heaven in a fiery rebellion against God. But what if the truth is much more complex, much darker, and yet surprisingly illuminating? Could it be that what we've been taught for millennia hides a deeper cosmic battle, a struggle of light and darkness that has been concealed from humanity? What if the story you think you know about Lucifer, the so-called fallen angel, is not the full picture? And what if the real truth about Satan, the deceptive force of evil, has been hidden from us for a reason? What lies behind the veil of history, behind the stories we've been told? Could Lucifer, the morning star, be an agent of divine balance and purification, not evil itself? In this video, we will uncover the true differences between Lucifer and Satan, two entities often thought to be one, but in reality, they embody two opposing forces in the cosmic order. We'll explore the ancient scriptures, Gnostic interpretations, and biblical insights to reveal the deep spiritual battle for the soul of humanity. You will learn how Lucifer, often painted as the villain, might actually represent light and justice, while Satan hides in the shadows, weaving deception and chaos. By the end of this video, you will understand why this revelation can change the way we view good, evil, and the divine plan. As we walk through these revelations, I encourage you to reflect deeply. Do you believe what you've always been told about the devil? Or is there a deeper truth waiting to be discovered? Let's uncover the truth together, and I invite you to leave a comment with your thoughts. How do you perceive Lucifer and Satan now that you've heard this? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on biblical mysteries and hidden truths. The tale of two entities, Lucifer versus Satan. In the beginning, the difference between Lucifer and Satan was never intended to be a simple theological debate. It was a deep and spiritual understanding that humanity had lost. Many of us have been told that Lucifer and Satan are one and the same, yet the truth lies in a duality much more complex than what traditional doctrines have led us to believe. The story of these two beings is not just a tale of good versus evil. It's a cosmic struggle for the soul of humanity, a battle that affects us on a deeper, more spiritual level. Lucifer, whose name means Lightbearer, was once the highest angel, the radiant one who walked in the presence of God. His beauty and wisdom were unparalleled, and his position in heaven was that of a leader. But pride, the very seed of rebellion, grew within him. He desired to elevate himself above the Creator, to seek his own light and power. This ambition was not merely a thirst for dominance, but a yearning for enlightenment, an awakening to a higher truth that he felt could bring balance to the world. Lucifer's fall, then, was not just about pride, but also about a desire for transformation, a complex desire to realign the cosmos, to challenge a perceived tyranny, and to shed light on a divine order that seemed unjust. In this light, Lucifer is not the villain many have come to believe. In his rebellion, he became a figure of tragic heroism, a symbol of someone who sought to challenge the old ways, even if the cost was his own downfall. He is the Lightbearer, the one who, despite his fall, continues to carry the light that can illuminate paths for those lost in spiritual darkness. Satan, on the other hand, is something altogether different. Satan represents the hidden deceiver, the embodiment of a dark force that thrives on confusion and illusion. Where Lucifer sought enlightenment, Satan seeks to obscure the truth. Satan operates in the shadows, twisting divine principles into tools for division, fear, and false worship. His ultimate goal is not to challenge the cosmic order, but to disguise himself as the ultimate authority, to pose as a god who deceives humanity into worshipping a false image. In the Bible, Satan is often portrayed as the adversary, the one who stands against God's people, the accuser and the tempter. But Satan's deception runs deeper. He is the one who creates the illusion that we are powerless, that we must live in fear of an angry God, or that our own desires are the true source of power. He pulls humanity into a state of spiritual bondage by feeding us lies about our own worth, causing us to doubt our connection to the divine. Satan's actions are not about bringing balance or enlightenment. They are about perpetuating division, hatred, and the false belief that we must submit to an external force to know our true selves. Lucifer's rebellion, on the other hand, was about seeking knowledge and challenging the established order, not out of malice, but out of a desire to evolve, to push against stagnation, and to offer an alternative to a system that no longer served the greater good. Satan, however, continues to perpetuate the lie that the system of fear, control, and deception is the only way. He masks himself as a figure of power, yet his true nature is that of a liar who seeks only to divide, isolate, and keep humanity from the truth. This duality of light and darkness, of rebellion for the sake of enlightenment versus deception for the sake of control, is something that still resonates deeply within us today. Lucifer's story serves as a reminder that even in rebellion, there is room for redemption and transformation, whereas Satan's story reminds us of the danger of deception, of trusting in false promises that only lead to destruction. Lucifer, the Lightbearer and fallen angel. When we talk about Lucifer, we must first understand the symbolism of light. Lucifer was known as the morning star, the first light of dawn. He was the bringer of light, the one who shone the brightest among the heavenly hosts. This imagery is crucial because light is not just a physical element. It is a symbol of wisdom, truth, and enlightenment. Lucifer's fall, therefore, was not simply a moral failing, but an act that set him on a path to seek knowledge that, by divine law, was forbidden to him. In many ancient texts, Lucifer's desire to challenge the status quo was not just an act of pride, but a deeper, more profound yearning to see the world as it truly is. This act of rebellion was a quest for truth, and though it led to his fall, it was not without purpose. Lucifer's fall is an archetype we can all relate to. The moment when we too desire to seek beyond the surface, to question the norm, and to look for answers that challenge our beliefs. The fall of Lucifer was not the beginning of his end, it was the beginning of his mission. Though cast out of heaven, Lucifer did not abandon his light. Instead, he became a figure of change, a force that operates in the realms of knowledge, both forbidden and divine. His role is that of the bringer of enlightenment, someone who challenges the old guard to think beyond their limitations. Yet the question remains, was his fall a punishment, or was it part of a greater cosmic plan? Could it be that Lucifer's rebellion was necessary for the awakening of humanity? A rebellion that created the space for free will, for the discovery of truth, and for the evolution of consciousness? In many ways, Lucifer represents the archetype of the enlightened rebel, someone who, in their pursuit of wisdom, was cast out because they sought something greater. This is the story of transformation. When we seek truth, when we challenge the things that bind us, we often face trials and obstacles. But these challenges are what lead to greater wisdom and understanding. Lucifer's story teaches us that even in rebellion, there is room for growth, and even in falling, there is a chance to rise. Satan, the deceiver and master of illusion. Satan's role is one of the greatest paradoxes in spiritual history. He is often seen as the ultimate adversary, the force that works to destroy all that is good. But when we look deeper, we see that Satan's true power lies in his ability to deceive. Unlike Lucifer, who sought to bring knowledge, Satan works to keep humanity in the dark, trapping us in illusions that distance us from the truth. Satan is the master of illusion, and his greatest weapon is deception. He convinces humanity that the world is full of evil and suffering, that we are powerless to change anything, and that our only hope lies in submission to a false authoritative power. In this way, Satan's role is not just to oppose God, but to convince us that we must live in fear, that our lives are meaningless unless we obey a higher power. The danger of Satan's influence lies in his ability to disguise himself. He can take many forms, sometimes as a wise teacher, other times as an authoritarian figure demanding unquestioning loyalty. In the modern world, Satan's influence is subtle. He manifests in the form of ideologies, false spiritual movements, and materialistic pursuits that promise fulfillment but ultimately lead to emptiness. Whether through consumerism, societal pressures, or the false promises of self-empowerment, Satan's tools remain the same. They are deceptions that draw us away from our true source of light. The lesson in Satan's story is one of vigilance. It teaches us to be cautious of the paths that promise easy answers and quick fixes. Satan's greatest trick is convincing us that we are lost, that the world is beyond redemption, and that the only way forward is through his version of salvation. But true salvation comes not from external submission, but from an internal awakening, a recognition of the divine spark within us all. By understanding Satan's tactics of deception, we can learn to discern the true path of enlightenment and freedom, and walk away from the illusions that bind us. In conclusion, Lucifer and Satan embody two distinct forces in the cosmic drama, one seeking enlightenment, the other working through deception. Understanding their roles and the differences between them helps us recognize the spiritual battles we face daily, the choices between truth and illusion, light and darkness. Lucifer and Satan in the Gnostic tradition. The story of Lucifer and Satan takes on an even deeper dimension when we step into the realm of Gnostic thought, which offers a radically different interpretation of the cosmic struggle. In Gnosticism, Lucifer is not simply the fallen angel punished for pride, nor is he merely an antagonist in a grand spiritual drama. Instead, Lucifer is viewed as a bringer of knowledge, a figure whose rebellion was not an act of malice, but an attempt to liberate humanity from the bonds of ignorance and oppression. Gnostics teach that the true essence of existence is hidden from us, veiled by an imperfect and often cruel creator. In this view, Lucifer's rebellion is an act of cosmic heroism, the moment he defied the authority of a flawed God to bring divine knowledge to humanity. It was a rebellion for the sake of enlightenment, an act of love for humanity, to open our eyes to the truth of our divine nature. In Gnostic scriptures, Lucifer's fall is not tragic in the conventional sense, but is seen as a necessary step in the awakening of human consciousness. His act of defiance against a false, limited God is understood as a symbolic reawakening of the human spirit, a challenge against the forces that keep us bound to ignorance. On the other hand, Satan in the Gnostic tradition represents the very forces that seek to keep humanity blind. Satan is associated with the concept of the demiurge, a false creator who is both ignorant and malevolent, seeking to imprison humanity in the material world and prevent us from realizing our higher spiritual potential. Satan, in this framework, is not the embodiment of evil as many perceive him in mainstream theology, but rather the manifestation of a corrupted force, a deity who seeks to control, deceive, and oppress, keeping humanity trapped in a cycle of ignorance and suffering. This dualism, Lucifer as the liberator of knowledge and Satan as the tyrannical force that hides the truth, presents a radically different view of the spiritual world. In this narrative, the fall of Lucifer is a story of the liberation of the human spirit, a call for us to awaken to our true selves. But the question arises, is Lucifer's act of rebellion truly for our benefit? Or is it a dangerous defiance that set in motion a cosmic disorder? And if Satan is merely the projection of a corrupted God, how do we recognize the true source of light in a world so filled with deception? Lilith, the hidden force behind Satan. In many ancient traditions, Lilith is portrayed as the dark feminine force that works alongside Satan, or in some interpretations, is even considered his consort. But who is Lilith really? The archetype of Lilith represents rebellion, independence, and defiance against divine order. She is not the passive figure often depicted in religious texts, but an active force of transformation, challenging the norms of a patriarchal system that seeks to suppress her power. In Jewish folklore, Lilith is often described as Adam's first wife, created at the same time as Adam, rather than from his rib. This difference in creation symbolizes her equality with Adam, a concept that was too radical for the traditional narratives of the time. Lilith's refusal to submit to Adam, her decision to leave Eden after being forced into an unequal position, and her transformation into a demoness who consorts with fallen angels all point to her as a symbol of the feminine force that refuses to be dominated. Lilith's story is not just about rebellion. It is about asserting one's power, independence, and autonomy, even in the face of overwhelming opposition. In the context of Satan and the spiritual battle, Lilith plays a crucial role as the embodiment of the dark feminine, a force that deceives and seduces, manipulating the material world for her own gain. But in her rebellion, she also represents the potential for transformation and awakening. Lilith's defiance of God's order challenges the idea of blind obedience, and in that sense, she is a liberator of sorts, though her methods are far from pure. The Gnostic and occult traditions associate Lilith with darkness and evil, but it is important to understand that she is also a figure of complexity, not easily categorized into good or evil. She is the archetype of the rebel who refuses to accept the status quo, the one who stands against the divine hierarchy. Lilith's role as Satan's consort is a powerful reminder of the divine feminine energy that is often suppressed in mainstream religious teachings. Her connection to Satan brings forth an important lesson, that spiritual power must not be seen in black and white terms, but rather as a dynamic force capable of both destruction and creation. As we move through the story of Lucifer and Satan, it is vital to recognize the importance of Lilith as the dark feminine force that serves as a counterbalance to the patriarchal divine. Whether we see her as a force of evil or a necessary adversary in the spiritual journey, Lilith's story teaches us that rebellion can serve as a path to self-discovery and transformation, even when it comes at a great cost. Lucifer's rebellion, a necessary act of balance. Lucifer's rebellion is often viewed through the lens of pride and downfall, but when we take a step back and examine it from a higher perspective, we see that it might have been a necessary act of balance in the universe. In the grand cosmic scheme of things, Lucifer's fall may have been an essential catalyst for the unfolding of human consciousness and spiritual growth. Imagine a world where there is no challenge, no opposition to the established order. Without the rebellion of Lucifer, there would be no space for free will, no opportunity for humanity to explore the depths of knowledge, nor the ability to question the divine. Lucifer's rebellion, in this sense, is not just a defiance of God's will, but a catalyst for the evolution of the soul. His rebellion created the conditions in which humanity could experience growth, learning, and transformation. Without darkness, there is no light. Without opposition, there can be no understanding of truth. Lucifer's fall can also be seen as an act of self-sacrifice. a willingness to lose everything in the pursuit of a greater understanding. His desire for enlightenment, while ultimately leading to his expulsion from heaven, was motivated by a deep and powerful longing to break free from the constraints of the divine order. Lucifer wanted to bring humanity into the light, to open their eyes to the truth of their potential. And in doing so, he became a symbol of the struggle that all of us face in our spiritual journeys, the quest for knowledge and understanding, no matter the cost. Yet there is a fine line between the desire for enlightenment and the temptation of pride. Lucifer's rebellion, though essential to the human experience, also serves as a cautionary tale. His fall teaches us that the pursuit of knowledge and power must be tempered by humility. We must not seek wisdom for the sake of control, but rather for the sake of understanding and growth. Lucifer's story is a reminder that the journey toward enlightenment is fraught with danger, and that we must remain vigilant in our quest for truth. The lesson from Lucifer's rebellion is clear. Even in moments of great defiance and rebellion, there is an opportunity for transformation. Lucifer's act of rebellion, though costly, was necessary for the unfolding of the divine plan. It allowed for the development of free will, the exploration of knowledge, and the ultimate redemption of humanity. Through Lucifer's fall, we come to understand that darkness can sometimes be the key to bringing forth the light. The ultimate spiritual battle, light versus darkness. In the vast, unseen spiritual realm, there is an eternal struggle taking place, a battle between two forces, each vying for the hearts and souls of humanity. On one side stands Lucifer, the Lightbearer, the fallen angel, who, despite his rebellion, represents the quest for knowledge, self-realization, and the awakening of the divine within. On the other stands Satan, the Deceiver, whose influence is based on illusion, division, and the distortion of truth. This is not just a theological conflict, it is a cosmic war that reverberates through every aspect of our lives. Lucifer's rebellion was not a mere act of defiance, but a profound spiritual awakening. His fall from grace, while perceived as tragic, opened the door for humanity to begin its own journey of self-discovery. Lucifer, in his quest for enlightenment, sought to bring humanity into the light, to show us the way forward by challenging the established order. His actions, though condemned by many, can be seen as part of a divine plan, a necessary step in the spiritual evolution of humankind. It was Lucifer's fall that created the space for free will, a crucial element that allows us to choose between light and darkness, truth and deception. But Satan, the adversary, seeks to obscure this path. He thrives in the shadows, manipulating perception, feeding us lies, and leading us into a spiritual slumber where the true light remains hidden. Satan's role is not merely to oppose God, but to keep humanity in a state of confusion, fear, and spiritual blindness. He is the master of deception, cloaking himself in false light and presenting himself as the solution to all of humanity's problems, while leading us further from the truth. His tools are subtle: false ideologies, materialism, fear, and pride, all designed to keep us trapped in a cycle of ignorance and separation from the divine. The ultimate spiritual battle, then, is not just about the defeat of an external enemy, but about the internal struggle within each of us. It is the fight between the desire for truth, light, and spiritual freedom on one hand, and the temptation to remain in the comfort of falsehood, fear, and ego on the other. This battle takes place within our minds, our hearts, and our actions. Each day we are faced with choices that align us with either the light or the darkness, with either the liberating knowledge of Lucifer's rebellion or the deceptive illusions of Satan. In this light, the battle is not just about recognizing evil in the world. It is about recognizing the forces of darkness within ourselves, in our own thoughts and actions. Lucifer's rebellion teaches us that spiritual growth requires the courage to challenge the status quo, to seek truth even when it is uncomfortable, and to break free from the chains of fear and ignorance. Satan, on the other hand, reminds us that the path to spiritual darkness is easy to follow. It is the path of self-deception, where we convince ourselves that we already have the answers, that we do not need to grow or change, and that the world is beyond redemption. But the light that Lucifer sought to bring, the knowledge that he desired to share, is not gone. It is still available to us today, if we choose to seek it. The true victory in this spiritual battle is not in defeating an external enemy, but in awakening to the divine light within us all. It is about shedding the illusions of fear, pride, and false authority, and choosing to walk in the light of truth and love. As we reflect on the stories of Lucifer and Satan, we come to understand that this cosmic struggle is not just a battle between two beings. It is a reflection of the spiritual struggle we all face within ourselves. Lucifer, the Lightbearer, represents the higher aspirations of the human spirit, the desire for knowledge, freedom, and enlightenment. Satan, the Deceiver, represents the darker aspects of our nature, the desire for control, illusion, and separation from the divine. The choice between light and darkness is not always clear, and the path toward enlightenment is not always easy. Lucifer's rebellion reminds us that true growth requires courage, that sometimes we must challenge the existing order in order to find the truth. But Satan's deception shows us the danger of self-deception, of believing in falsehoods that lead us away from our true nature. In our lives, we are constantly faced with choices that shape our spiritual journey. Will we follow the path of light, seeking the truth, even when it challenges our understanding? Or will we succumb to the illusions of darkness, allowing fear, pride, and self-deception to guide us? The path forward lies in awakening to the truth of who we are, that we are not bound by the illusions of the world, but are capable of walking in the light of divine wisdom and love. We must learn to recognize the forces of darkness in our own lives and choose to turn away from them. We must embrace the light of knowledge, the light of truth, and the light of love, knowing that it is through this light that we will find our true path. The journey towards spiritual awakening is not a destination, but a continuous process of growth, understanding, and transformation. Just as Lucifer's rebellion opened the way for humanity's evolution, so too must we continue to seek the light that is available to us, knowing that it is through this light that we will ultimately find our true freedom. So, as we face the spiritual battles in our own lives, let us remember that the light is always available to us. The true victory is not in the defeat of an external enemy, but in the awakening of the divine light within us all. Let us walk in that light, choose it every day, and share it with others, knowing that it is through this light that we will find peace, wisdom, and love. As we come to the end of this journey, it's clear that the spiritual battle between light and darkness, truth and deception, is not just an ancient myth. It is a battle that we too are fighting within ourselves every single day. Lucifer, the Lightbearer, represents the pursuit of truth, knowledge, and enlightenment, the yearning to seek something greater, to question the established order, and to awaken to our divine potential. Satan, the Deceiver, represents the force that keeps us shackled in ignorance, fear, and self-deception, leading us away from the truth and hiding the light that is within us all. This cosmic struggle is not just an external battle between two entities. It is an internal war within our hearts and minds. Every day we face choices that either align us with the light or draw us deeper into the darkness. The path of light is not always easy to walk. It requires us to challenge the lies that have been fed to us, to confront our fears and doubts, and to rise above the illusions that keep us trapped in spiritual confusion. But the reward of walking in the light is profound. It is the freedom to live authentically, to connect with our true selves, and to experience the divine love and wisdom that flows through us. Lucifer's rebellion, though often seen as a fall, is actually a story of transformation and awakening. His quest for knowledge was not a rejection of the divine, but a longing to bring humanity into a deeper understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. His fall created the space for free will, for the possibility of choosing between light and darkness, truth and illusion. It was this very rebellion that opened the door for humanity's spiritual growth, the opportunity to seek the truth for ourselves and to challenge the limitations of the old world. Satan, on the other hand, represents the force that seeks to keep us ignorant, to keep us from realizing our true potential. He wants us to believe that we are weak, that we are not worthy of divine love, and that the path to true freedom is a lie. But in reality, Satan is the great deceiver, the one who disguises himself as the answer to our deepest desires, only to lead us further away from the truth. The lesson we learn from Satan is to be vigilant, to discern the false promises of the world, and to always seek the light of truth, no matter how dark the world around us may seem. The battle between Lucifer and Satan is ultimately the battle for our hearts, for our spiritual awakening. It is a battle that we must fight every day as we navigate the complexities of life, and it is a battle that we are all capable of winning. By choosing to walk in the light, by choosing to seek the truth and embrace our divine potential, we can rise above the darkness and experience the freedom and peace that comes from living in alignment with the divine. As we close this video, I want to leave you with this thought. No matter how difficult the journey may seem, no matter how dark the days may feel, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. The light is within you. It has always been within you. You are not alone in this struggle. The divine light is always there to guide you, to protect you, and to show you the way forward. If this video has brought value to your soul, or if it has helped you find light in the midst of darkness, I invite you to support the channel so I can continue creating content that shares the wisdom and love of God. Every little bit of energy you contribute, whether through a like, a comment, or a subscription, means the world to me and helps keep this light shining for others. Your support allows me to keep sharing these messages of hope, healing, and divine truth. If you've found something in this video that resonates with your heart, please let me know in the comments. How has this journey shifted your perspective on Lucifer and Satan, and how can we all better recognize the spiritual battles that take place within us? Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear how this message has impacted you. May the light guide you, may you walk in truth, and may you always find peace in the love that surrounds you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this community. Your presence here, your energy, and your willingness to engage with this content mean more to me than words can express. With every step, you are bringing us closer to the truth. Keep shining and never stop seeking the light.